welcome to another Booktube Made Me Do It video. This is the series where every Friday I wrap up the things that Booktube made me do during the week. And there's a fair few this week. So I start off with the books that Booktube made me put on my overflowing Goodreads want to read shelf. At the start of the week I had 978 books on my shelf, and now we're at 985. So I've put 7 books on my shelf. Starting with 2 which were recommendations from another Australian booktuber, Anna Bailey-Carris. She told me about 2 books. One is called Billion Dollar Whale. It's the man who fooled Wall Street, Hollywood and the world. And it's about some dude that jumped into the financial sector in America and just took everybody for a ride. He invested in movies and all without any money or anything to back him up. It's written by Tom Wright and Bradley Hope, who are 2 Wall Street journalists. And Anna hasn't read it yet, but when she told me the premise of it, I love all of these books about people who just fooled everyone. And I just love reading how they went through it, how they did it, but just the gall of them. Like, I can't believe that they would be able to sleep at night knowing that they did this. It just blows my mind. So I love reading these accounts. I read, I think it was called The Woman Who Fooled the World, about, I can't even remember her name. It's Australian Instagram health guru who claimed that she cured cancer. Oh, Belle Gibson was her name. She claimed that she cured cancer just by eating fruit and vegetables, organic. And she didn't even have cancer in the first place. And all of these people followed her. She was on the front page of everything. She was speaking at every major conference and, major launch event, and just earning bucket loads of money, and never had cancer. And all of these people were following her diet, and who had cancer and were refusing conventional treatment. I just couldn't believe that she would be able to sleep at night knowing that people were following her and she had no basis for it whatsoever. She flat out lied about the whole thing. Never once had cancer. So those sorts of books, I love them. So when I heard about Billion Dollar Whale, I was like, right on, that's perfect. The next thing that Anna brought up was an author called Domenico Starnone. She's reading a book of his at the moment called Tricks, and she also referenced a book called Ties. She said that Ties is about a marriage and all that sort of stuff, but she really liked his writing. Though when she was talking about it, she did reference the fact that he might be Elena Ferrante's husband. And I don't want to hold that against him, seeing as I'm not the biggest Elena Ferrante fan. But the way she spoke about those 2 books really interested me. So they went on my want to read shelf. The next recommendation was from Big Al Books. She recommended a book called Near to the Wild Heart by Clarice Lispector. I think that's how you say it. This is just a book about a woman and searching for the purpose of her life and yada yada yada, but it's written in stream of consciousness style, which I've never read before, and I figure if I'm going to tackle that kind of writing, then maybe a book about a woman finding her purpose could be the right way to start. So I chucked that on my want to read shelf. Then Garden Scriptorium, I love her recommendations so much. She recommended a book called Birdcage Walk by Helen Dunmore. And this is set in 1792 in Europe, and it's about a woman called Lizzie who married a property developer, and things aren't going well for his business, and a story about their marriage and how she's treated at home. I love historical fiction. It's totally my jam. So that really appealed to me, that book. Then Possibly Literate recommended a book called Fruit of the Drunken Tree by Ingrid Rojas Contreras. Sorry, I'm Australian. Sorry, I totally butchered that. But anyway, it's called Fruit of the Drunken Tree, and it's about 2 girls growing up in the 90s in Colombia, under the terror of Pablo Escobar and all of the craziness that went around that. My husband's been watching that series is it Narcos or something, and I've been dipping in and out of it. But a perspective, you know, a book with the, you know, from the perspective of someone who's actually living in that world with all of the violence. Yeah, it sounded really interesting. Then Barter Hordes raved about a book called Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. He explained it so beautifully. I'll link, as with all of these videos, I'll link them below. But it's about the marshland in North Carolina, and in 1969 there's a girl sort of lives on the outside of society in the marshland. So an idea about a book that talks about nature, of course, appeals to me. But there is a murder, and this girl is, because, you know, is naturally accused because she sits on the outside of society. So, and he says that it's just a cliffhanger. It leaves you right up to the last page before it reveals everything and makes it all clear. So that sounds like a good pacey book I could get into. And then the last book I put on my Goodreads Want to Read shelf is a recommendation from Steve Donahue, of course. It's called Listen to the Marriage by John J. Osborne Jr. It's a book just entirely about a couple who are getting marriage counselling, but the whole book is them over 10 months in the marriage counselling sessions. So it says in the blurb, it talks about what gets in the way of a good marriage, and sort of I guess it just lays out everything that, is it Gretchen and Steve, this couple are working through in their marriage. I love little gossipy insights into other people's marriages, so that sounds perfect. So they're all the books that Booktube made me put on my exploding Want to Read shelf on Goodreads, which is now at 985 books. I mean, I can't keep up, but there's just too many good recommendations. Booktube reminded me of 2 books this month, and with these books that I'm reminded of, I need to get to one of them next month, because otherwise they just sit on there. But the first one was The Court Dancer by Kyung Suk Shin, who yeah, I've heard raved about. This book just sounds amazing. It's, you know, about a girl dancing in the Korean court who gets taken by a French diplomat back to France because he falls in love with her, and then I guess about her life in France, and then when she comes back to Korea, and yeah, there's betrayal, there's jealousy, there's all sorts of stuff going on there. So yeah, it just sounds brilliant, and I absolutely need to read that book. And Butterhood's also reminded me of The Feather Thief, which he talked about a while ago. I put this on my Goodreads Want to Read shelf in May. This is a non-fiction book. It's a true crime book, and it's kind of, I'm drawn to it because lots of true crime books are about murder and, you know, the mob, and, you know, the ones I've sort of been faced with. That's my opinion of it. It could be completely wrong. But this one is about a natural history heist. So these people who were so involved in the making of the flies for fly fishing broke into and stole heaps of just beautiful collected bird skins from the British Natural History Museum, and stole them and then made them into these flies for, you know, fly fishing fanatics. And the author was fly fishing in a river and heard this story from his guide or whatever, and decided to follow it up and look into the mystery of, because I don't think that they ever got caught, or maybe he tells the story of the people and what they did. But either way, it sounds really cool. I'm totally not into fishing, but you know, that sounded like a really interesting true crime book. Not normally, you know, no blood and guts, which is a nice change. I bought some books too. I bought 2 books, and Booktube totally made me buy both of these. The first one was a recommendation from Tide Mama Tries to Read, she's a Welsh booktuber. I love her recommendations so much. We seem to have the same style in reading, you know, same taste in books. She recommended it. I have to read this. It's called An Account of the Decline of the Great Auk, According to One Who Saw It by Jessie Greengrass. And it's 12 stories about, people who are lonely, estranged, and out of time. And Charlotte read a snippet of one of the stories on her video, and it just sounded beautiful. And so, yeah, I bought that. I found this site in Australia called World of Books that sells used books online with free delivery. I mean, it's gold. It doesn't have a great range, but it had this book, so I picked it up. I'm just so excited to get that book. And then this is a total Booktube one. All I've seen is Robert Galbraith, Lethal, whatever it is, Lethal White or Lethal Black or whatever it is, just flying around Booktube. And everybody's loving it. And Britta Bowler said that she loved it. And when Britta talks, I listened. So when I was on that World of Books site searching for the other book, the first Robert Galbraith novel in the first series that she wrote, called The Cuckoo's Calling, I think, was there for $10, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try it. It's a total Booktube buy, but I'm going to give it a go and see what all the hype is about, and maybe I'll get into the series too. So there you go. I bought 2 books this week. Bloody Booktube. And then I joined another Goodreads book club, but I have to because Britta Bowler told me about it. It's the Read Around the World book club on Goodreads, and each month they read books from different countries, but they're written by female authors. It's my perfect book club. So I hit the join button, but I'm still waiting for them to reply. I hope they accept me. I don't know what the November pick is, but I think that I'm going to absolutely do it next month. It sounds like a lot of fun, and it just sounds the perfect types of books that I love. Yeah. So that was the only one book club. I did well this week. Phew. And then the great idea I got from book club, it's kind of a funny one, but Books for MK, she did this awesome reading vlog of, her week, her first Booktober week. And there were lots of clips of her sitting outside on this rocking chair and rocking back and forth. And I just haven't thought about a rocking chair in so long. So I'm going to buy a rocking chair. I think I need one in my reading room. These kind of... Oh my God. So that was my week of Booktube Made Me Do It. I've put a lot more books on my want to read shelf. A lot more than I'm reading in a week, that's for sure. I was reminded of a couple that I absolutely need to get to. And I bought 2 books. But I had a great week on Booktube, watching everybody's videos. I love it so much. So all of the links, like I said, to the videos are below, and I hope maybe you've picked up a couple of recommendations of books you might not have seen. If you've read any of these books or you plan on reading any of these books, let me know in the comments. I'd love to chat. Okay, until next week, I'll talk to you then. Bye.